Huntsville City Council meeting is now in session. If you were to have an electronic device that could disrupt this proceeding, please turn it off or put it in a silent mode. As always, thank you so kindly for your help. Also, stand if you choose for the invocation led by Reverend Bonnie McCrickard. Also remain standing if you choose for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Mark Russell.
Creator and sustainer of life, we gather this evening as citizens of the world, representing diverse gifts and experiences, and mindful of our opportunities to serve each other in this particular beloved community. We acknowledge with gratitude the abundance of this land and this city, and we bear witness to our responsibilities to preserve its resources for the betterment of our common life and the heritage of those who come after us. And tonight, we offer up our hope for trust and creativity, for truth and wisdom, and for commitment to honor the dignity of every person. Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend McCrickard, and thank you, Mr. Russell. Council members, be reminded that 15N has been deleted. Also, you have an electronic copy of the minutes of our regular scheduled council meeting held December the 17th, 2015. Are there any recommendations or changes?
Mr. Chairman, after reading and reviewing the minutes from the December 17th meeting, it's quite apparent this council needs to do a better job of conducting our business. This is the responsibility of the entire council, and I pledge a greater commitment to following correct parliamentary procedure tonight and in the future. I will do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Any further recommendations? Hearing none, the minutes stand as recorded. We're now at agenda item number 4, resolutions and special recognitions. Mayor Battle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask Harry Hobbs to come forward, it's time for our CAFY Star 99 CAFY Young Citizen of the Month, and tonight we have somebody who I think everybody in the room knows pretty well. Jordan, would you please come up?
Thank you, Mayor. As the committee comes up as well, what a fine young man we have for our first 2016 January Star 99.1 Community Awareness for Youth Young Citizen of the Month. This young man was nominated by our good friend Kathy Miller at United Way. This young man is a senior at Bob Jones, the Bob. Great job, Miss Marilyn and Mr. Robin, raising this young man. He has been volunteering for most of his life. He has given quite many hours at the United Way, given to impact volunteer teams. He's volunteered and worked at the local Vacation Bible School, extremely involved in politics, spent many weekends at events registering voters. He's on the United Way Council. He's participated in all kind of community service. And the awards this young man has obtained by helping others. International Public Policy Forum quarter finalist, Daughters of the American Revolution, Citizenship Medal winner, Sanford University Public Forum Debate Tournament, second place, Peach State Classic Varsity Public Forum Tournament, second place speaker, competitor in the National Speech and Debate Tournament, Huntsville Madison County Leadership Challenge class, as well as first place in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Inspire, Outstanding Delegate Award recipient, American Legion, Yale Club, Yale Book Award. Sir, I better be careful. You might be trying to take my job as a spokesman. But you've done such a great job, and we appreciate that in every way. So I'm going to let you hold that. So on behalf of Mr. Kenny Anderson, who is our Multicultural Affairs Director of our Star 99 CAFY Young Citizen of the Month, our mayor and Mayor Battle and the rest of this group. We want to give you this starting off, and then we have some more stuff for you as well, and then we'll end up with the mayor so you can have your Kodak moment, okay? Okay. I can hold that for you.
Okay, I'll present it again. On behalf of the Human Relations Commission for the City of Huntsville, I present you this certificate again, and congratulations for all your endeavors.
Thank you.
Well, Jordan, on the behalf of the Huntsville Police Department, Chief Mark McMurray, and all the 400 and some odd officers who patrol the streets of Huntsville, Alabama, we recognize you for your exemplary service to our community on this 14th day of January 2016. Please keep up the good work, sir.
And Jordan, hearing all those speech awards and debate awards and everything else, you know, our Congressman Mo Brooks is a national debater. You have a chance there, buddy. You have a chance. I'll leave it at that. I have a coin from the city, and the coin from the city is given to people who've made a difference in this city, in this area, and made us a better place. And to you, I want to say thank you for doing everything that you've done, Jordan. I have enjoyed working with you. I've enjoyed working in many capacities with you. Thank you very much.
And we do have an alibi from Huntsville Utilities. We got something in there for your mind, body, and soul, and something to stimulate your economy. Okay. Take one more picture with the mayor. Get your Kodak moment, sir. Look that way. Thank you, team.
And if I could ask Warren Jones to come up. Warren, would you please come up? You know, back in 1980s, the railroad, we were without a railroad coming down South Huntsville, coming all the way down the South Huntsville line, serving industry. And 31 years ago, Warren took over as chairman of the Huntsville-Madison County Railroad Authority and has kept us having 13 miles of railroad going all the way down South Huntsville for 31 years, and he has been chairman of it. And he's again another person who's been able to make a difference. Warren, tonight we have a proclamation for you. The proclamation has lots of whereases, and I'll save you all the whereases, but it says that now, therefore, I, Tommy Battle, Mayor of the City of Huntsville, hereby express sincere appreciation to Warren P. Jones for his extremely valuable and unselfish commitment to business and industry in Huntsville, Alabama. And this is for starting in 1983, the Seaboard System Railroad, formerly the L&N Railroad, abandoned their line, and Warren had the foresight to realize the negative impact on our economy, and he formed a plan and established a team in 1984 to form an authority to operate a short line railroad. And he served as 31 years as a chairman, and Warren, we want to say thank you for doing that. Thank you. And now if I could ask our school board to come up, Ms. Laurie McCauley, who is president of our school board, Melissa Farrell, Mike Colbreth, Walker McGinnis, and Beth Wilder. We have all of our school board here, and I hope that y'all let the news know that you were going to be here, or else you might violate the open meetings law.
You on TV?
Okay, we're on TV. They're good. Okay, so we're open meeting here. But many people don't realize, but January is School Board Member Recognition Month, and we have a proclamation here from the City of Huntsville, from the mayor's office, to say thank you for serving on our school board. And this is something that we do once a year, but we do it because you five are the people who set up the guidelines for our school system. You're the ones who make our schools either good, or you can make them bad, but y'all work together so well, and you've made our schools something that has international acclaim and people from all over the country are coming to look at our system, and we want to say thank you to each of you for the job that y'all have done as a school board. And we have one proclamation, so Laurie, you get the proclamation, but if you will put it up where everybody can see it, I will say thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you. What you want?
I want you to say something.
Oh,
You've never been short of words.
well, on behalf of the Huntsville City Board of Education, we would like to say thank you. But this recognition goes to all the teachers and the support people we have in the classrooms and in the corridors of our school, because it takes all of us to make Huntsville City what it is. And what you will find in Huntsville City schools, in our new direction for 2016, is everything we have will be in the hands of every child.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Battle, and we certainly share your sentiments. You guys do a great job and keep up the good work. Thank you. We're now at 4B1, adoption and presentation. 4B1A is a resolution congratulating Chuck Hagood on his retirement from the City of Huntsville after 42 years of dedicated service.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Dr. Showers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would read this resolve.
Hey, good.
The mayor wants you to come up.
He's a private citizen now, so he really doesn't have to listen to us.
Thank you. Whereas the City Council and the Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, are apprised that Chuck Hagood has retired from the City of Huntsville after 42 years of dedicated service. Whereas for the past 42 years, Chuck Hagood has served the City of Huntsville, Alabama, in an exemplary, dedicated, and conscientious manner. He has had the privilege of working for 4 mayors during his tenure, and his expertise as city clerk treasurer and extensive education has earned him the designation as certified municipal clerk. And whereas he began his career with the City of Huntsville under the leadership and tutelage of city clerk treasurer Ruby Needley. In September of 1989, Chuck was appointed city clerk treasurer. His responsibility included providing exceptional record-keeping and functions related to the City of Huntsville's operation, including city council meetings, maintenance of ordinances and resolutions, providing assistance to ensure business owners within the city limits were properly licensed, and providing service to Huntsville citizens and elected officials. And whereas one of the most fascinating of his duties was his efficiency in handling the Huntsville municipal election process. He spent numerous election nights making sure each ballot was recorded accurately. Chuck's office was typical of a record keeper with various stacks of documents throughout the office. However, he always knew which stack something was in when it was needed. And whereas, as an avid Alabama fan, Chuck's office was also filled with Daniel Moore paintings depicting great moments in Alabama's rich football history. And whereas Chuck was married to Jewel Hagood for nearly 20 years and spent time with his stepdaughter Stephanie and son Tyler. Whereas Chuck ended his storied career with the City of Huntsville, Alabama on January 1st, 2016. In his retirement, he plans to spend more time with family and enjoy one of his favorite places on earth, Orange Beach, Alabama. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council and the Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, gratefully acknowledge, congratulates, and extend best wishes to Chuck Hagood in recognition of his retirement from the City of Huntsville after 42 years of dedicated service. May you have continued success in all future endeavors. Adopted and approved on this 14th day of January, 2016. This document is signed by the Mayor, Tommy Battle, Will Covert, Mark Russell, Jeannie Robinson, Bill Kling, and Richard Showers Sr. $42 years. Has it been that long?
Yes, sir.
You were here when I got
I've been here, everybody's been here.
Again, on behalf of the mayor, 188,000 loving citizens, this city council, and those that are present tonight, we present this resolution to you for the contributions that you've made to this city.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Showers, I do appreciate this plaque and this resolution. I want to thank the mayor and all the council members that I have served with. I've been a pleasure working for the city of Huntsville the last 42 years and for the last 25 being city clerk treasurer. This city is in a better place because of the mayor and the city council that we've had. And I want to thank each and every one of you at the bottom of my heart. God bless, and if you need anything, give me a call.
Well, we know where you're going to be. There's a little town in South Alabama that I'm from, near there, Foley, Alabama, and there's a beach down there that's called Orange Beach. So we know where you are.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
if I could, I guess, kind of piggybacking over what Mayor Battle and Councilman Showers had said, I mean, this city has so many good things that take place, and, you know, sometimes we get these meetings, we argue, we deal with problems, issues, and budgets, but look at the contributions. 42 years from Chuck Hagood, city clerk, Warren Jones, 31 years that he donated his time and energy to make the city a little bit of a better place. I mean, we're the tip of the iceberg, but folks like y'all, what y'all have done for this community, that's what makes Huntsville special. And it's just an honor, a privilege, just being part of the tip of the iceberg on the team with folks like y'all, because this city moves because of the people that we have in it. And I think we're very fortunate.
Thank you, Councilman Kling. You certainly have said it all, and thank you, Dr. Showers. We're now at 4B2, adoption only. 4B2A is a resolution recognizing Dr. Wright L. Lassiter, Jr. as guest speaker at the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast to be held January the 18th, 2016 at the Braun Center North Hall. Dr. Showers.
I move to approve that.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Russell. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, I would be delighted to present this resolution on January the 18th at the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast. At that time, I'll do it on behalf of our mayor and the city council.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. 4B2B is a resolution recognizing Reverend Michelle Elijah Miller as the guest singer at the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast to be held January the 18th, 2016 at the Braun Center North Hall.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Russell,
Second.
second by Mr. Kling. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Dr. Showers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I will be recognizing the Reverend Mitchell Elijah Miller as a guest singer at the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast to be held on January 18th, 2016 at the BBC Center North Hall. We'll do that on behalf of the mayor and the city council.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. We're now at 4C, other special recognitions. 4C1 is a presentation to the City Council on International Education Exchange, CIEE, high school students, sponsored by the United States Department of State. Mr. Jim Powers, local coordinator, team leader. Mr. Powers, if you will come up, please, sir. And Mayor Battle, if you would join me for this presentation, please. Mr. Powers is going to call each student up by name, and each of them will receive a certificate presented to with their name in recognition of your participation in the City Council on International Education Exchange, CIEE, high school program and attendance during the regular council meeting of Huntsville City Council held on this, the 14th day of January, 2016, signed by Mayor Battle and all of the council members.
Okay, could I have Fatim Aslani come up, please? Sorry. Just stand over there. Oh, Fatim is from Macedonia, and he is attending Bob Jones High School. Could I have Boss come up, please? Boss is from Thailand, and he is attending Lee High School. And Sumin, could I have you come up, please? Sumin is our latest arrival. Most of our students come in at the beginning of the school year, but Sumin just arrived, and she will be here for the spring semester and the fall semester. And she is from South Korea. Zinran? Zinran is from China, and Zinran is attending Pope John Paul II Catholic High School. He will be graduating, and he may be going to Bama next year. And Pavel Planka from Slovakia. Pavel is attending Grissom High School, and he's on the soccer team. Well, thank you for this recognition. We've had this program in Huntsville for about 8 years now, and every year we have a great batch of students, and we appreciate you recognizing them at this council meeting. Thank you so much.
Give them a nice round of applause. And hold on for just a minute, please. And I cannot begin to fathom how difficult it must be to coordinate the activities of all of these students from the various countries. And Mr. Powers does it so well. So, because of your efforts, we have a certificate for you presented to Jim Powers in recognition of your efforts in coordinating the Council on International Education Exchange, CIEE, high school program and attendance during the regular council meeting of the City of Huntsville Council held on the 14th day of January, 2016, signed by Mayor Battle and all of the council members. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
And you do have 2 more members of your crew who are.
They are not actually in our program, but they are international students, and they are college students at Drake University. I'm going to let each of them stand up and give your name and say where you're from, please. There's a mic right over there.
Hello, my name is Trung Pham. I'm from Vietnam.
Hi, my name is Ni. I'm from Vietnam.
And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Battle. We do not have any business with outside legal. We're now at agenda item number 6, public hearings. 6A is public hearings to be held. 6A1 is a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of demolishing the property located at 1615 Lucille Street Northwest, brought by Community Development. Ms.
Yes, Mr. Culver, Council. On October 22nd, 2015, at your regular council meeting, you gave Community Development authorization to demolish this property. The demolition took place on December 15th, and the total cost was $4,222.13. The property owner was notified by regular and certified mail of the cost of the abatement and failed to pay the bill. So I'm requesting your approval to assess the property owner for the cost of this abatement.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Mr. President, move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clean, second by Mr. Russell. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 6A2 is a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of cutting and removing of grass and weeds against certain properties, brought by Community Development. Ms. Jordan.
Yes, Mr. Culver and Council. This resolution identifies 20 properties that were in violation of the city's grass and weeds ordinance. These properties are identified on Attachment A in your packet tonight. The owners received written notification by regular mail that they were in violation of our ordinance, and each property owner was given 14 days to come into compliance. They all failed to respond, and work orders were issued to cut these properties. Attachment A also identifies the date and the cost for cutting these properties. I'm asking tonight that you assess these property owners for the cost of cutting their overgrown grass and weeds.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Russell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clean. Discussion? Yes, Dr. Robinson.
I have a question about this and also the preceding one. In the preceding situation and in this one, the property owner is listed as deceased. So,
Right, so there-
and that's also true on with the grass cutting. That there are a couple that are listed as deceased. How does that work?
Well, the bills go to the
Heirs? The
to
estate?
the heirs of the property. That's correct.
Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 6A4 is a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of demolishing property located at 2914 8th Avenue Southwest, brought by Community Development. Ms. Jordan.
Mr. President, are we going to do 3?
I'm sorry, Mr. Russell. Thank you, sir, for that correction. We're going to digress and go back to 6A3, public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of boarding and securing certain properties, brought by Community Development. Ms. Jordan.
Yes, Mr. Culver, Council, the 3120 Andros Drive Southwest was found standing open and accessible, and Community Development staff boarded it and secured the property. The cost for boarding and securing this property was $315.21. The owner received a written request for payment and failed to respond, so I'm requesting that the abatement be assessed to the property owner so that we can collect our costs.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council? Ms. Reed?
Thank you. I just would like to ask some questions about boarding and securing these properties. You sent out certified letters to the property owners,
Yes.
and you didn't get a response or anything or hear from them? Anyway, I just wondered if they were notified correctly and anybody don't care.
And Ms. Reed, if you would be so kind as to direct your questions to the council.
I am.
And Ms. Jordan, would you like to respond to that?
Sure, yes. All property owners are notified based on the information at the tax assessor's office, and that's how we are required by law to communicate with property owners.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Ms. Reed, does that satisfy your inquiry?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the council on this particular matter? Hearing none, the
Mr.
public
President?
hearing is now closed. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
You can do it, Mr. Kling, at discussion.
Move for approval.
Okay. The motion by Mr. Kling for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Russell. Ready for the discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 6A4 is a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of demolishing property located at 2914 8th Avenue Southwest, brought by Community Development. Ms. Jordan.
Yes, Mr. Russell, Council, on September 10th, 2015, at your regular council meeting, you gave Community Development authority to demolish this structure. The demolition took place on October 29th, and the cost for this abatement was $3,356.20, of which I'm asking your approval tonight to assess the property owner for the cost.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council? Ms. Reed.
I guess I'm confused and concerned about community development. Anyway, what happens, you charge them $3,000 and they can't pay this bill, what happens to the property then?
Ms. Jordan, would you like to address that?
Sure, Mr. Culver. A lien is placed on the property by your action tonight, and should the property be sold or acquired by someone else through any kind of transaction, this lien does get repaid to community development. And we've had a lot of success in recouping the cost of these actions in the past, and we are hopeful that that's what will happen in this case as well.
Thank you. And just a quick question for our legal. That lien runs with the property. Would a future property owner be made aware of that lien prior to purchasing that property?
Generally, those liens are recorded of record, and so when a transaction such as that takes place, there will be a property search done, and it would be identified in that circumstance.
So someone would take new ownership of that property with knowledge of that lien?
Subject to existing liens, just as if there were a mortgage or something else on there. It would be recorded, and they would take knowledge. They would take the property with notice of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Riley. Ms. Reed, did we satisfy your inquiry? Great. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the council on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Further discussion? Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. We're now at 6B, public hearings to be set. 6B1 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance amending the City of Huntsville air pollution control rules and regulations. This will be set at our regular council meeting March 10th, 2016. Is there a motion?
Move to set the hearing.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Showers. And is there discussion, although we'll take this up at the next council meeting? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. We will take this up at the March 10th council meeting. 6B2 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance zoning newly annexed property lying east of U.S. Highway 431 South and on the west side of Goose Ridge Drive as Residence 1A District. This will be set for February the 25th, 2016 at our regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to set the hearing.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 6B3 is a resolution to set a public hearing for suspension of licensure for certain taxpayers. This will be set January the 28th at our regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to set the hearing.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. We're now at agenda item number 7, communications and reports. 7A is communications from the public. As I call your name, if you would proceed to the microphone, you'll have approximately 3 minutes to address the council. Lenore Arnold.
Lanice Arnold, Buckingham Drive, Huntsville, Alabama. Good afternoon, Mayor Bowell and council members. I stand before you tonight on behalf of the North Alabama Coalition for the Homeless to inform you of Natchez proactive efforts to go ahead and organize our emergency warming centers for our clients that will be out in the cold under extreme weather conditions. I would like to share those plans with you tonight. Our emergency shelter warming center plans are at 40 degrees or below. The Downtown Rescue Mission will allow all clients to come on a flexible admission policy with exceptions if a person has been banned for life or permanent barment. Okay, they will begin admission at 4 o'clock. They have the capacity to house 35 women in the overnight, 125 men, 50 women and children in the Women and Children's program for a total of 210. And the Downtown Rescue Mission has a policy that they will not turn people away if they're intoxicated as long as their behaviors are appropriate, as well as they will make special accommodations for any overflow if they exceed that 210 number. The Salvation Army will allow flexible admission policies at 40 degrees and below. They do require that the clients take a breathalyzer. The admission times will be from 5:30 to 9:30. They have the capacity to hold 16 women, 35 men, for a total of 51. And they will allow clients to stay at their shelter without identification. The Downtown Rescue Mission will allow clients to stay at the shelter without a state ID if they have a Continuum of Care ID, which is issued by the Continuum of Care, as well as another form of identification such as a local library card. Okay. Now, the extreme cold weather policies will be at 35 degrees and below for a 24-hour period. The location of the extreme weather shelter will be, once again, Grateful Life Church for individuals, Royal Rose for families, and those will be single women with children. And the capacity at Grateful Life will be approximately 50 to 55. The needs currently, in the past, the city has been helpful with providing transportation to the shuttles and the emergency warming center on the nights that the temperature are extremely cold by providing free bus rides, basically. Okay. We also need financial assistance to help with the purchase of food, toiletries, the utility bills that are acquired at the Grateful Life facility, as well as blankets and other necessities. We also use emergency hotel vouchers for families, and those are families that are married families with kids that we don't have a shelter placement for under the condition that the weather is 35 degrees and below for a 24-hour period. We have a special request this time because we are trying to replace the cots that we currently use at the Emergency Weather Center. The cots that we have were donated by one of our other organizations. We were appreciative to receive those, but the conditions of those cots are not safe for our clients. So we are in the process of trying to raise $6,000 to purchase new cots, and those will be the high-quality cots. At a minimum, we would need $4,000 to acquire the standard medical-type flat cots. Okay. We have also set up a GoFundMe account to try to raise funds for that effort of purchasing the new cots. I also wanted to inform you that the Natch Point in Time count will be conducted on Tuesday, January the 26th, and it will be based off of the client's locations on Monday the 25th. I also wanted to inform you that the Natch Satellite Office located at the Huntsville Public Library.
Ms. Arnold, do you need another minute?
Just about
Council
30
members?
seconds.
Thank you.
Okay. The new satellite office at the Huntsville Public Library will extend its service hours as well as service days to meet the demand of the increased utilization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold. And Councilman Kling, I know that you had contacted me, and we contacted the mayor and John and eventually the chief of police. I'm thanking you, first of all, for the update, and secondly, for the response that Huntsville Police provided when the temperature dropped back here a couple of Sundays ago. The battle, your team got in action, and as a result of that, nobody, perished as a result of the weather. So thank you for all that you do. Miss Jackie Reed.
Good evening. I want to thank you for allowing public input. I want to wish everyone a safe, happy, healthy New Year in 2016. I hope and wish our leaders to focus more and deeper on some issues throughout this city. Not just certain little areas where we put a lot of money. I want you to focus and look deeper into the whole city as to what's going on around you. I'm glad to see you speaking tonight out of your microphones. We can seem to hear you better. I don't know if you got new ones or not. I don't think so, but thanks for speaking into your microphones. I think that's a plus and good for all of us. I would like to see, I got several issues, and one of them is if out front it's got parking places in the daytime for big trucks and everything, if the stenographer could have or borrow one of those parking spaces on the night of the city council meetings. She didn't say a word to me about this, but she has to walk up those steps, and I know the city clerk treasurer, the new one's going to help her carry her stuff like Mr. Hagood did, but it'd be so nice if you would allow her to park right out front right there on city council meeting nights. That's not asking too much. I don't think you're going to have too many people unloading stuff on a city council meeting night. I would like for you to look at that. I also would like to bring up the fact that Maple Hill Cemetery looks like heaven up there, thanks to Joy McGee. She's really done a lot of work. It's been looked into. We've got a lot of new places for people to lay down. Looks a lot like heaven. I don't think she's been recognized enough so far as to what she's done up there. I went up there one day and looked around. It's amazing what it looks like, and I'm sure they're going to be up for sale, so I would like to see people go up there and look around. I'm sure she's going to have some for sale, but it's a beautiful place. It really is, and we needed that done, whatever she done. I also would like to bring up an incident report about the police officers. I don't want to take on the police officers, but when they go on private property and write incident reports up, there's two sides to every story, not just one from one person. I always believe no matter what goes on in life, there's two sides to every story. You don't just write what one person says. Insurance companies may believe that. And if you don't know what's going on, make sure you look into it before you start writing out something and take sides with one person. I mean, I think that's something that needs to be looked into. The traffic in the city, very, very bad. We need to slow down some of these speeders. I mean, you all want to live in a big city. I never did want to, but some of you need to move and go on up to a big city. It's getting way too big for me out here. I came from the country.
Ms. Reed, your time is up. Do you need another minute?
Yes.
Council members?
And like I said, I need to see some of the speeders slowed down. We have almost 200 buses, twice a day, school buses, going through this city, which I was against in the first place. But people need to slow down and recognize we got a lot of 16-year-olds on the streets, and it's dangerous, a lot of wrecks and everything. Thank you. I'll be with you this year. I hope I get to be more considerate than I've been lately. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Council members, we're now at agenda item number 8, Huntsville Utility items. We have 3 items for approval tonight and 1 for introduction. 8A is a resolution authorizing the reimbursement of Huntsville Utilities for electric capital improvement expenditures as required by IRS regulations. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clean, second by Dr. Robinson, or was that Dr. Showers? Dr. Robinson. Discussion, Mr. Gertis.
So this is a pretty standard item for us. It involves the reimbursement for what we would characterize as mostly routine projects for the growth of the system and to continue to improve our reliability and our redundancy, and to the tune of approximately $37 million. This process is a requirement by the IRS so that we can be reimbursed for the work that we do through this process.
Thank you, Mr. Gertis. Further discussion, council? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 8B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a tri-party agreement among TVA, Huntsville, and Ridgeview Industry, Inc., allowing Ridgeview Industries, Inc. to participate in the Valley Incentive Program, VIP, brought by Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion.
This is a pretty standard tri-party agreement. Of course, each of these agreements is unique between the company, TVA, and Huntsville Utilities. It's a economic incentive package where in exchange for the company's growth in our area, TVA gives them bill credits so that they can save money on their electric consumption.
Thank you, Mr. Gertis. Further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 8C is a resolution authorizing the approval for purchase of outside services to repave California Street, PR 102-04461.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. Mr.
Again,
Davis.
very straightforward, and I'm sure you all have noticed we have been doing quite a lot of work to our gas lines that run underneath California Street. This is simply an ordinance approving us to obtain the outside services to do the repaving when we've completed that work.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 8D is the introduction of an ordinance to allow the Huntsville Utilities Electric Board to lease and set rates for excess dark fiber. This is brought by Utilities and council members. We'll take this up at our next regular council meeting. If you prefer discussion, we can have that.
Mr. President, I agree as far as carrying it on to the next meeting, but I was wondering if Mr. Gertis could just give like a 30-second overview for the public's benefit.
Yes, Mr.
Sure,
Davis.
absolutely. We, I think, have explained to you on several occasions that we require a fiber optics network for the operations of our systems, and we are beefing up that capability, and in doing so, we'll have some excess space left. And this ordinance, when it's ready for approval, will give our electric board the ability to lease that excess bandwidth, if you will, to companies that are interested in using it to help us recoup some of our cost and investment of installing the fiber.
And Mr. Kling, I might mention that this may also apply to the city of Huntsville, as we need fiber in certain places where we don't have it. We may be working with Huntsville Utilities on that, plus the school system may be working with Huntsville Utilities also. So it's a very broad brush that they're using, but it gives a lot of us capacity that we would not have in the past.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Thank you, Mr. Gertis, and you'll be prepared to discuss that more in-depthly at the next council meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council members, we're now at agenda item number 9, board appointments. 9A is board appointments to be voted on. 9A1 is a resolution to appoint Steve Hedinger to the Solid Waste Disposal Authority of the City of Huntsville, 4th Director, for a term to begin January the 14th, 2016, and expire January 12th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clean, second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 9A2 is a resolution to reappoint Dr. Eddie Green to the Medical Clinic Board of Huntsville, Alabama, 1973, for a term to begin January the 24th, 2016, and expire January the 24th, 2020. This was brought at our council meeting December the 17th, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 9A3 is a resolution to reappoint Ernest J. Potter, Jr. to the University of Alabama in Huntsville Public Education Building Authority for a term to begin January the 14th, 2016, and expire November the 11th, 2021. Brought at our regular council meeting December the 17th, 2015. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clean, second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 9B is board appointment nominations. 9B1 is a nomination to reappoint Lady Shivers Tucker to the Huntsville Public Library Board for a term to begin February the 10th, 2016, and expire February the 10th, 2020, brought by Councilman Showers. 9B2 is a nomination to reappoint Carter Wells to the Huntsville Public Library Board for a term to begin February the 10th, 2016, expire February the 10th, 2020, brought by Councilman Showers. We'll vote on those appointments at our next regular council meeting.
Mr. President?
Any additional nomination? Board?
Yes, Mr. President, I had asked the staff to give me a listing of the delinquent board appointments that we have, and I've got several names. Basically, these are the same people pretty much that are going to be, that I'm nominating for reappointment. If council members have other names that they think would be better, I would certainly be glad to yield to their consideration. I'm doing this primarily because overall I think these are good people in the community and basically just for house cleaning to try to catch up on the list. So I'll go down the list, and if a council member has another name, I would be glad to yield to them. First, Medical Clinic Board, Fifth Avenue, 6-year term to excuse me, replace James Butler. I'd like to nominate James Lomax. Term runs from 1/11/14 to 1/11/2020. Next, Medical Clinic Board of Huntsville, 1973. Nominate Catherine Irwin, reappointment. Term begins 1/24/14, expires 1/24/20. Next, Huntsville Madison County Emergency Management Board. Frank Caprio, nominated for reappointment. Term begins July 1st, 2015, and it runs through July 1st, 2020. Board of Examinations and Appeals for Construction Industries, Place 1, Mac Ford, reappointment. Term began 9/21/15 and expires 9/21/18. Education Building Authority of the City of Huntsville, APT, nominate Major Stephen Thomas for reappointment. Term begins November 10th, 2015. Term expires November 10th, 2021. Education Building Authority, City of Huntsville, Faulkner University, nominate Colin Hale McKee, reappointment. Term runs from November 10th, 2015 to November 10th, 2021. Education Building Authority, City of Huntsville, Holy Spirit, nominate Jeannie Weaver, reappointment. Term runs from November 10th, 2015 to November 10th, 2021. Education Building Authority, City of Huntsville, Pope John Paul II High School, nominate Evans Quinlivan, reappointment. Term runs from November the 9th, 2015 to November the 10th, 2021. And that is all. There is the Education Building Authority, City of Huntsville for Westminster. I don't know who the current board member is, so I'm going to leave that one vacant.
Okay. Any objections to Councilman Clean nominations? Hearing none, we'll vote on those at the next council meeting. Also, are there any additional nominations? Thank you, Councilman Clean. We are now at agenda item number 10, approval of expenditures. 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, I would like to submit tonight $15,639,638.
Second motion has been made by Dr. Showers, second by Councilman Clean. In discussion, Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Dr. Showers, is there a Finance Committee report?
No. Is the attorney here? Ms. Sargent, do you have anything tonight?
No, other than we've gotten in our December numbers and we're still tracking in a positive direction for the new fiscal year.
Anybody have questions for our attorney?
I guess
Finance Director.
Mr. Chairman, yes. Ms. Sargent, do you know when we will be receiving the numbers that'll give us an idea of how we did sales tax wise for the Christmas season?
Well, we did, like I said, we've received it in December, and so it had a 5.3% growth for the month of December over last year.
Okay. I guess some of that kind of carries over through the month of January, does it, or?
December.
Yeah.
December would reflect November's numbers, and
good point.
and
So
January's numbers will reflect December's, and usually, you have until the 20th to turn in your taxes. So we'll probably be, a little bit after the 20th, and probably
so
next
December
week.
has your Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then you'll have some more in January for your New Year.
Okay, thanks. I think that will be interesting because I think that'll give us a pretty good indication of how we're doing sales tax wise based on how the Christmas season comes in.
Thank you.
I do have one comment. I noticed on the report that it's in a new format. I assume that's the new software that you all are using, and just wondering how that software transition has gone for you. I know software conversions can be tricky sometimes.
Yes, that report is the new format due to Munis. It's actually going very well. Being new to the city, it's a very user-friendly system. I will say that. I'm self-teaching in it, and so it's coming along very well. We did find a few little hiccups in that, and so there's going to be some additional pages in the back because of one-time pay vendors so that you can see some detail on things that you might have said, well, what's this? But I think it's a very good system, and I think once everybody's on board and up, we're going to be doing very well. Payroll went live this month, and with 2,000 employees, we had very few issues.
I found this format much easier to read, and so I can only imagine if it's easier for me, it must be tons easier for y'all as well.
Comparing it to the mapper data that I'm having to look at for closing out last year, much easier.
Thank you, Ms. Sargent. Thank you, Dr. Showers. We're now at agenda item number 11, communications from the mayor. Mayor Battle, you have the floor.
First off, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. This is our first meeting of the new year of 16, and 16 looks like it might be a record year. Most of the time, it seems like that first week that you get back, everybody's kind of slowly moving into the new year. This time, everybody must have written their lists over the New Year's Day, and everybody seemed to have lists ready to go and was moving pretty fast. So I look for good things in 16. For the record, I would like to make some appointments. Isaac Beavers to the Advisory Commission on Accessibility for a 3-year term to expire January 10th, 2019. Brian Dotson to the Advisory Commission on Accessibility for a 3-year term to expire January 10th, 2019. Many activities going to be happening this next week. Monday is Martin Luther King Day, and we will be having a parade in downtown Huntsville Saturday, January 16th, sponsored by Alpha Phi Alpha on Clinton Avenue at 11 a.m. The organization is also sponsoring the Martin Luther King Breakfast on Monday, January 18th at 8 a.m. They have done very good the last couple of years. The first couple of years I went there, it kind of went from a breakfast into a brunch. It went a little bit long, didn't it, Dr. Shower? Yeah. We also have the Martin Luther King Emancipation Celebration, January 16th, 7 p.m. at Progressive Union Church. And also this week is Teacher Appreciation Weekend at the Space and Rocket Center. There will be free admission for teachers January 16th and 17th. And as downtown activities go, we have Downtown Huntsville Winter Warmer Week returning to the City Center January 18th to the January 22nd. which is within 4 days, and it's for 5 days of craft beer goodness. Events include Meet the Brewers, new beer debuts, beer dinners, and even the first ever beer and wine barrels events. And it starts at Below the Radar on January 18th and closes at the Lumberyard on January 22nd. And finally, everybody who has had a great holidays. It has been a great holidays. We have eaten our way through the holidays. This is the 10th year of Scaleback, Alabama. Weigh-in is by January 25th. You have to put together your teams. We are right now putting together the administration team, and I'm number one on the list. If you will talk to the City of Huntsville's HR department or at the employee clinic, you can join a team, and we can get serious about losing weight in 16. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Thank you, sir. We're now at communications from the council members. Dr. Showers, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am delighted to greet everybody here tonight and those that are listening for a prosperous and happy new year for 2016. I, too, would like to remind the public that our annual MLK breakfast will be held again this year, Monday. And, of course, there will be a downtown parade, the second parade in honor of Dr. King will be held on Saturday beginning at 11 o'clock. Well, I would like to say tonight that as I make my comments that the thanks goes out for those who express an interest in being a member of the North Huntsville Business Association. We are excited to announce that we will have our first meeting of the 2016 year on Monday, January the 25th at 7:30 p.m. on the campus of Alabama A&M University. And this meeting will be held at the Knight Center, the main ballroom there in that complex on Meridian Street. Mr. Reginald McKenzie, the owner of Shark Seafood, Chicken, and Soul Food on North Parkway, has agreed to serve as our facilitator of the association and will be conducting the meeting. Please feel free to contact Mr. McKenzie at TMT S007 at BellSouth.net. Again, that is TMT S007 at BellSouth.net. If you have any questions before the meeting, the main goal of this meeting will be to start the process of establishing the goals of this association. Please note that the membership in the North Huntsville Business Association is limited to licensed for-profit businesses currently doing business within the geographic boundaries of Botway Lane, Meridian Street, Pratt Avenue, University Drive, and Jordan Lane. We're looking forward to seeing each of you on Monday, January 25th, 2016 at 7:30. We're also delighted to announce tonight that concerned citizens for Johnson High School will meet on Tuesday at Johnson High School at 6 p.m. in the school's auditorium. This is in conjunction to my last town meeting when we passed out cards for those who would be interested in discussing the future, what you would like to see as it relates to what happens to Johnson High School when it closes this year. Again, that meeting will be January the 26th at 6 p.m. in the school auditorium. Let me close with this. You've heard me mention on several occasions the fact that Dr. Joseph Lowry, longtime resident of Huntsville, Alabama, will be honored at Governor's Drive from Governor's to Pelham. That section will be ready, and we are planning to have the dedication, ribbon cutting, book signing on the second week in February. I will let you know later the exact date and time that we're going to have this function. And I will close with this. I don't want to confuse anybody. I am a Bulldog. But Monday night, I was a Roll Tide supporter. Did y'all watch that? Coach, did you watch that? Steve Ivy, acting like you don't hear me. I thought you was an Alabama fan. He's that other fan. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank
you. It was
you.
a good game, wasn't it? I was like, we have many Alabama fans
That
in
was
here.
Roll Tide.
Let me hear you again.
Roll Tide.
I already got some.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Showers. Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Especially want to thank Huntsville Police, Huntsville Fire, Public Works, and all the people that had to work over the holidays. I always admire their ability to work Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and it takes special people to be able to do that, and I appreciate all those who do that for us. I want to also thank Huntsville, the Parks and Recreation Department. In District 2, anyway, we have many kids that use the city's recreational services, and the gyms have been full with kids playing basketball. We have practice times lined up as much as we can. We're using every available gym in District 2, and we're playing a lot of games anywhere that we can find games. So I appreciate Steve Ivy and all the people who work for him, what they do. I was able to go to several of the gyms on this last Saturday. All were very organized. All the kids in there were having fun, and the parents were behaving, and it just was a good experience, and it really builds community in our area. So thank you for that program. Keeping on the subject of basketball, in case you hadn't noticed, the city of Huntsville is doing very well in basketball. Johnson boys are ranked in the top 10. Lee boys and girls are ranked in the top 10. Columbia is ranked in the top 10. Grissom's ranked in the top 10. Westminster boys are ranked in the top 10, and Madison Academy girls and boys are both ranked in the top 10. So we've become quite a basketball city. So if you haven't yet, I encourage you to go out and watch some local basketball and help those schools out. And then the last thing I have to say is, weather permitting, beginning Thursday, January 21st, Clinton Avenue will be converted from a one-way street to a two-way street from Washington Street to Spraggins Avenue. Motorists, and this means you, Ms. Reed, are advised to use caution and obey all traffic control signs and pavement markings. So there's going to be a little change on Clinton Avenue, and it's going to throw everybody off, but we're going to two-way streets, and hopefully this will work out well, and we can have more two-way streets in the downtown area. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Councilwoman Dr. Jenny Robinson.
Well, I said that my New Year's resolution, one of my New Year's resolutions there this year was going to be to have a regular newsletter, and the first edition did come out on January 5th, and many thanks to Kelly Scrimshire for her help making that happen. I've had many very positive responses from constituents and community members about that newsletter, and hope to continue to send it out, and anyone who's interested in receiving it can simply email me, and we'll be adding you to the list. We also started the new year right by having our first meeting of the year of the South Huntsville Business Association this past week with Colonel Bill Marks giving us an update on the arsenal, and also receiving input from the South Huntsville Business Association members about how the arsenal could potentially partner with those businesses, particularly in alleviating traffic flow with the construction by working with gate openings and closings. Speaking of that construction, the South Huntsville Business Association will meet again on February 12th, and the purpose will be to talk about businesses that are now, that business is still, South Huntsville is still open for business, and the resounding message I continue to hear from many of the business owners is that it's really not as bad as some people think it will be. It's a construction zone. There's construction, and we want people to be patient. We want people to be careful. But the traffic management through there is really being handled well, and traffic is moving steadily, if a little bit more slowly than usual. And we want those businesses to continue to thrive during this time. To better help people understand the construction issues that are going on and to get a public briefing, we're going to be having a town hall meeting on February the 1st at 6:30 at the Bailey Cove Library, where Al Dott and Kathy Martin from City Engineering will give the public an update on the construction, on the timelines, on closures, and how it's going to impact traffic in South Huntsville. That meeting was originally scheduled for January 11th, Dr. Showers, but we had the good sense to move it from the night of the game to February 1st so that more people would be able to attend. So that will be February 1st at 6:30 at public update on construction. And finally, I will close by wishing two of the most important men in my life a happy birthday. Tonight is my grandson Alex Austin's birthday and my husband, the other Dr. Robinson's birthday. Alex will be turning 10 and Michael will not. Happy birthday to both of them.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Councilman Clean.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to let the record reflect the passing of a gentleman who had certainly done a lot of elective service in this community. All of us knew Frank Riddick for what he had done serving as probate judge. Some of us may recall that in addition to that, he previously had served as a member of the state legislature. And perhaps there might even be a few of us, very few in this room, who'd recall that he actually was a member of the Huntsville City Council. Mr. Riddick had served as a member of the City Council from 1968 to 1970. And then from there, he ventured into the state legislature and then on to county government. And he certainly was a dedicated public servant, and he is someone who we certainly do appreciate what he had meant to this community. And our thoughts go out to the family on their loss. Also, Monday night, normally I'd be having my town meeting on the third Monday of the month, but because of the library being closed, I will not be holding my town meeting this Monday night, but I will pick up. It is going to be closed because of the holiday, and we'll pick back up when the library is open. A couple of things I wanted to talk about that I think deserve some accolades. The Traffic Engineering Department, John Hamilton, Shane Davis, and a whole lot of folks took care of a problem with signage, the need for signage in the lower Piedmont neighborhood. And the feedback I received from the neighborhood has been very positive. They appreciate the signage being posted, which should take care of a problem that's been going on for a long period of time with cut-through trucks. Also, there's a person out there who I believe is watching this meeting. She lives in the West Lawn neighborhood area, and she's had a long-standing problem. And she and I have talked about this neighborhood problem for a long period of time. We've had some efforts that have been made. The problem has been somewhat alleviated, then it comes back again. As I told her I would do before the meeting tonight, I did sit down with the police chief and talk to him about this problem and gave him her letter. I think he's going to follow up, and we're going to go great guns to work on this problem. So hopefully that person out there, she did not want her identity to be released. Hopefully she will see some very significant improvement taking place in her neighborhood. And Mr. President, that's all I have. I hope we all are going to have the first of what will be several good meetings for the new year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Clean. My New Year's started out truly with a bang. My daughter, who graduated med school, she and her husband gave me my first grandbaby. So I have a grandson, CJ, who was 7 pounds, 15 ounces. And I've been going over there so much, I convinced them to move to Huntsville until she starts her residency. And I've been told that I'm kind of like stalking my grandson. I go there so much. So Happy New Year to all of you, and I'm looking forward to a very progressive new year. And Mr. Russell, thank you for all of your input that you've given to us. And my commitment to this council, to this body, is to do the very best I can with what I've been tasked with. So we're going to have a great 2016. Thank you. We're now at agenda item number 13, unfinished business items for action. 13A is an ordinance number 15951, amending Chapter 12, Article 4, Division 1, Stormwater Management of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Huntsville, Alabama. This was introduced at our regular council meeting, December the 17th, 2015. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Kling, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, should I address my questions, Mr. Kling, or Ms. Klinger? Is there somebody from the staff that can answer?
We'll probably punt them over to Kathy Martin, but I'll be glad to take.
Ms. Martin here.
Ms. Martin.
Hello, Ms. Martin.
Yes, sir.
Basically, I want a brief explanation. Mr. Kling had said this was a simple ordinance, and then when I checked the red line changes, it was pages and pages of changes were being made. Can you explain how Mr. Kling said it was going to be one sentence and now it's going to be several pages? And tell me the difference and explain it to the public, please.
Sure. Yes. The intent of the change was to allow for the issuance of COs by way of temporary seeding, temporary erosion control during inclement weather. So that was how the ordinance originated with the amendment.
That was the concept that I was talking about.
Yeah, and that's one sentence, but when I checked the red line changes, it was several pages.
Yes, sir. We took the opportunity to update the ordinance as well. Since 1991, it had not been updated. And so some of the standard operating procedures that we do today just needed to be updated as well.
Okay, and do you think it's a good idea to issue COs before the landscaping's done?
During periods of inclement weather that they cannot get full stand of grass to be established, we've given them the option to do temporary erosion control measures, which does satisfy the ADEM requirements. However, the right-of-ways and easements would be required to be fully sodded.
And so it's a good idea?
It is.
Okay. One of the concerns I have is I represent many people, and they're always complaining about the developer leaving before the job's done or not doing the community lake the right way, and that the city lets them off the hook. And this is what this sounds like to me, is we're giving the developer, leave the yard bare. And then I feel like I'm going to get a lot of calls from, why did the city issue a CO when the yard doesn't look nice? Is that going to happen to me and to the other council members?
That wasn't the purpose of it. The fact that the easements and right-of-ways will be fully grassed will keep any mud and debris from coming out into the roadways or clogging our storm drainage systems. Internal to the site, they are required to put silt fences and seed and straw. So the intent would be that within 90 days, the builder would come back and fully sod the site once the inclement weather period had passed.
And how often have you run into this situation? Is this something that's going to happen all over town, or is it once in a blue moon a developer needs to do this without getting a CO? Get a CO without doing the yard?
The way the ordinance is written, it would be a fairly unusual circumstance.
Very unusual?
Fairly unusual circumstance that they would do this, because it does define inclement weather as a prolonged period of heavy rain, high winds, frost, and similar weather conditions that render permanent stabilization unattainable. So the intent would still be to have a full stand of grass unless these conditions exist.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote for this tonight because Mr. Kling has always been a defender of the neighborhood, and so I'm trusting that he's defending the neighborhood, and Ms. Martin has said that she thinks it's a good idea. I'm skeptical, and we may have to revisit it, but we'll try it and see.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
President.
Russell. Yes, sir, Mr. Kling.
If I could, let me kind of expound on some of the things, at least let everybody understand the rationale. There is, as you all know, we're now getting in that fun time of the year, which runs roughly, I guess, from after mid-January, February, through the middle of March, and sometimes even in the fall we have it where it's just cold, wet, rainy. People are not able to landscape, and there are people who are coming in from Huntsville, from out of town, and they want to move into the house. And I guess one of the rationales, and this perhaps might even be stretching a little bit, but I think an occupied house is better than an empty house. And if all the construction standards have been met as far as the structure and everything, this could be one way that Huntsville could be just a little bit more friendlier to help people who are coming in from out of town. And I think between CAFY and ADEM, I think there's a good amount of safeguards that are in there. And it's not, anything that should run amok, but I think it has some good safeguards that'll give people the right or the chance to move into a house earlier instead of having to wait because, well, we're done with the house, but we can't move in because the landscaping's not done. So this could, be one of those things that we can do that I think can actually make a little sense down the line.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Martin, that's not what I heard you said. I heard you talk about inclement weather. Mr. Kling never mentioned inclement weather. My understanding, if the weather's perfectly fine, they have to landscape their yard?
Correct.
That's
That
correct?
is correct.
And so what would be an example of inclement weather? We haven't had inclement weather this year, have we? Maybe the Christmas when it rained or?
Right. During heavy periods of rain where the yards are completely saturated, there would be no reason to put the sod down and ruin the sod. So in those extreme circumstances of heavy winds or frost or unable to get sod delivered to the site, and if they need to move in and the conditions of the property do not impact any public infrastructure or adjacent neighbors, then we would have the ability to give them the option of putting temporary erosion control measures down in order to get a CO on the house.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Kling.
Well, Mr. President, what I was referring to this time of the year, mid-January, February, and March is kind of the cold, wet, rainy time. And that's what I was using as an example. But again, I think Ms. Martin has put together, good safeguards on this.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it safe to say that we're basically saying the same things, close?
I think we are close on that. I'm just making reference to the weather this time of the year. In fact, I think next week we're talking about weather going down into the teens again, and perhaps rain coming, snow coming, and everybody can remember what we had around the Christmas season. So those are just kind of examples of what we're talking about.
Thank you. And Mr. Russell, we can always come back and revisit this, sir, at your request.
Oh, yeah, I'm well aware of that, and if we get complaints, we'll certainly do it. I'm hoping it's unusual circumstance and it doesn't happen, and that's what I've been told, so I'm willing to try it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Dr. Robinson.
So just to confirm, then for a contractor to be able to take advantage of this ordinance, that it would have to be demonstrated that there was, in fact, inclement weather of an extreme nature that would not permit him to put in landscaping, right? In order to get the CO, there would have to be inclement weather.
That is correct. We would have to determine if there is inclement weather. But when you say landscaping, he just could not put in the sod. He would still have to put in a silt fence, seed, and straw
Meet
the site.
those minimum standards.
Correct.
And then after those minimum standards, he has to put the sod in.
Correct, within 90 days.
Whose responsibility, because the CO will then have been already delivered, so whose responsibility will it be to make sure that sod goes in?
It will be ours. It will be ours. Within 90 days, the ordinance says we have the ability to issue a citation if it's not.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Any further discussion? Ready for the... Yes, sir.
May I address the council, sir?
Yes, sir.
First, I want to thank the engineering department and
Sir, if you'll
specifically-
state your... I'm sorry, if you'll
I'm
state
sorry,
your name and
Howell
address for
Lee,
the record.
Huntsville Madison County Builders Association,
Yes, sir.
and I live in Owens Crossroads. I'm not a Huntsville resident, I'm sorry. Want to thank the engineering department, and specifically Kathy Martin, for working diligently for over 3 months on this. And I can assure you, Mark, that they've covered, the engineering department has covered the ADM requirements as far as not violating any ADM requirements with the city. And this is strictly, we've been blessed or cursed, however you want to look at it, the last 10 or 15 years with droughts that have changed the pattern of winters. 15 years ago, it started raining in November and rained till about April, and every third day. And we're getting back into that pattern where it's not drought conditions and it's raining a lot. And this is it's for the last 10 years, it hadn't been an issue, but it is becoming an issue again. And it's strictly, if it's too wet, it's ecology-wise and otherwise, putting the sod, you can't put the sod down. If you do, and it's going to not take, and it's going to be dead, and the homeowner is going to be very upset with everybody in town because the engineering department inspected it. Well, yeah, and it died after that because it's too wet to just fungus and mold kills it. So what we're trying to do is, and it's really not for the contractors, it's for the homeowners. When
whether it's across town or across the country, when people move, they have their furniture and household goods, and if they can't get a CO and move in, they've got to store that. They've got to live in a motel until they can get the power turned on. And you can't run heat or air on temporary service. It's not enough juice to run it, so you have to have the permanent service connected for them to occupy the house. And I think the last thing any of us want is for new residents coming in or existing residents moving across town into a new house to have a bad taste in their mouth about Huntsville before they even get moved in. So we're strictly trying to accommodate these people that are moving and relocating, whether it's within town or across the country, moving to Huntsville, so that we can get them in the homes, get them occupied, and meet the ADM requirements, not get into any violations of the ADM requirements for the state temporarily, and give the builder time for it to dry out and landscape. And that's the genesis of it, of the whole ordinance, is just trying to do a service for these people, because the builders, I mean, their hands are tied. The landscapers, they can't grade the yard, they can't put the sod down because it's too wet. And we've had that a number of times since November of this year. And this is the first time that in my recollection it's come up, been an issue for about 10, because we used to do it with an escrow, the city did. And I think wisely, the engineering department wants to get out of the escrow business. They don't want to be responsible for handling the funds and then hiring a landscaper, and then the owner, if they're not satisfied with a landscaper, looking at the city engineering department rather than the builder. Well, so I think it's wise on their part to get out of the middle of this and let it be the homeowner and the builder within 90 days after they move in, rather than putting up a escrow amount or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree basically with you. What I'm worried about is at 90 days, if they don't do it, what's going to happen? They're going to get cited. It's going to go to court. It's going to take another year. And in the meantime, if that situation comes up, we're going to have this problem that we can't solve, and constituents are going to say, why in the world did you ever give them a certificate of occupancy? And so that's my only concern, and it's my concern because it happens. People call us all the time.
Absolutely.
And so I was just wondering why we're making the change, and I said I'm going to vote for it. I just want to hope it works out okay. I'm trusting everybody, but I just have had experiences where things like this, the CO seems to be what works.
Oh, it does, absolutely. But in this case, with the landscaping, if the city gets it, won't be it won't be the city that's in the middle of it. It'll be the homeowner and the contractor.
If they don't meet the requirement in 90 days, it'll certainly be the city. It'll be the neighborhood and the city involved in it. Because
liability-wise, that's what this ordinance does. Is it takes the city out of the engineering department out of the loop as far as escrows or being the agent in the middle between the builder and the homeowner.
Yeah, and my understanding is the city would have to cite the builder or the homeowner for not doing what they were required to do in 90 days, and that puts the city smack dab in the middle of it through the court system, and then it gets out of everybody's hands. But again, I'm going to vote for it tonight, and we hope it works, and I'm hopeful.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yes,
and
sir.
Mr. Riley, do you have any comments regarding that, sir?
No comments here. I'm satisfied with Ms. Martin's explanation, and I believe they've worked real hard on this ordinance and this amendment to it, and they've taken proper steps to make sure that there's enforcement capabilities.
Thank you, sir. Council members, any further discussion on this matter? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Council members, we do not have any new business items for introduction. We're now at agenda item number 15, new business items for consideration or action. Council members, are there any items that you would like to hold?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hold 15K, 15L, 15M, 15P, 15R, and 15EE.
We have 15K, 15L, M, P as in Papa, R, 15EE. Are there any additional items, council members, that you'd like to hold?
Just 1 second. Go ahead, Doctor.
Dr. Robinson.
Dr. Robinson.
Like to hold item HH.
Double H.
Double H.
Did anyone call for item 15F and G?
No, sir.
I'd like to include those two.
15F and 15G.
And also items W, X, and Y, just because they are worded kind of unusually. and-
W, X, and Y. So, council members, items to be held are 15F, G, K, L, M, P, R, W, X, Y, double E. Any additional items?
And double H.
Double H.
And double H, I'm sorry, double H, yes, and double H. Any additional items? 15A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a special employee agreement between the City of Huntsville and Cecil Summers, brought by Finance. 15B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with low bidders meeting specifications as outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance, brought by Finance. 15C is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 15642 by changing the authorized strength of personnel in various departments, brought by Finance. 15D is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 15642 by changing the appropriated funding for various departments and funds, brought by Finance. 15E is a resolution approving the travel expense report, brought by Finance. 15H is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Huntsville and Smart Growth America pertaining to the award of a grant to be utilized for the completion of a technical assistance workshop, which will aid the City of Huntsville in the implementation of smart growth strategies at the local and regional level, brought by Planning. 15I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for and execute fiscal year 2016, fiscal year 2017 EPA air grant in an amount up to $200,000 in federal funding to support the city's air pollution control program, brought by Natural Resources. 15J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a special employee agreement between the City of Huntsville and Deborah Hopkins, brought by Natural Resources. 15N is a resolution, 15N is deleted, I'm sorry. 15O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement between the City of Huntsville and Green Mountain Volunteer Fire Department for the lease of a fire truck, brought by Fire and Rescue. 15Q is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and OMI, Inc. for construction materials testing for Greenbrier Parkway, Phase 2A, combining Phase 2 with TIF portion of Phase 3B, project number 71-16, Romeo Delta 02, brought by Engineering. 15S is a request for authorization to advertise and fill position of Secretary 2, Grade 10, and fill at a step higher than the minimum with the pay grade, within the pay grade, if necessary, brought by Engineering. 15T is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Foresight, Inc. for engineering design services for Benaroya Lane Extension, project number 71-16, Tango, India, 03, brought by Engineering. 15U is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and the low bidder Reed Contracting Services, Inc. for periodic bid for asphalt projects 2016, project number 71-16, Sierra Papa 12, brought by Public Works. 15V is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Garver LLC for 2016 on-call surveying services, project number 71-16, Sierra Papa 21, brought by Water Pollution. 15Z is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the claim of Jericho Thompson, brought by city attorney. 15AA is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a funding agreement between the City of Huntsville and Lennox Park LP for home community development. 15BBB is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modification number 3 to the agreement between the City of Huntsville and Family Services Center, Inc. for home investment partnership funds, brought by Community Development. 15CC is a request for authorization to fill and advertise to fill one position of Civil Engineering 2 and to fill at a higher rate than minimum salary if necessary, brought by General Services. 15D is request for authorization to advertise and fill one position of general service facility worker and to fill at a higher grade than minimum salary if necessary, brought by general services. 15F is a request for authorization to advertise and fill vacant equipment technician 2 position in the fleet services division at a higher than minimum salary if necessary, brought by fleet. 15G is a request for authorization to advertise and fill vacant equipment service worker position in the fleet services division at a higher than minimum salary if necessary, brought by fleet.
Mr. Chairman, I move for consolidation approval of 15A through E, 15H through J, 15O, 15Q, 15S through V, 15Z through 15D, 15F, and 15G.
Second.
Motion has been made to consolidate A through E, H through J, O through Q, S through V, Z through D, F through G. Second by Dr. Robinson. Further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15F is a resolution declaring the city's internet to be reimbursed for the cost of certain capital improvements from the proceeds of general obligation warrants.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it should have been the city's intent, and the chair I move for approval.
Second.
I do apologize. My vision isn't what it used to be. Thank you for the clarification. Resolution declaring the city's intent to be reimbursed for the cost of certain capital improvements from the proceeds of general obligation warrants. The motion has been made by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate.
Aye.
Stop for just a second. Is there anyone who wishes to discuss this? It was held, Ms. Sargent. It was brought by Finance.
You want to explain?
Just explain that to the council, please.
This is just so that we brought on the December 17th meeting, it was brought out that we were purchasing land and some other items that we were going to have to get funding for. And this is a requirement so that we can put that funding that's going to be acquired for items within 60 days. We'll be going out for bonds and things using PFM in the next
Thank you, Ms. Sargent.
30 to 90 days.
Thank you, Ms. Sargent. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15G is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the plat North Huntsville Industrial Park Phase 5 re-subdivision of a portion of Track 1 brought by planning.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Dr. Showers, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion, Mr. Jim McGuffey.
Council members, this is a 165-acre tract of land north of North Huntsville Industrial Park, north of the Toyota plant. The purpose of this plat is to establish the right-of-way along the property and utility and drainage easements. This is helping establish utility and drainage easements to this site and further north.
Any further discussion?
Yes,
Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, by doing this tonight, what does that do to enhance development in that part of North Huntsville?
Well, currently the property is residentially zoned and the southwest corner of the property is commercially zoned. To the south of this is the industrial park, and we hope that this site is an opportunity site for any growth in the future. This plat does not require any infrastructure upgrades in terms of roads, just utilities.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, council members? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modification number 1 to the consulting agreement between the City of Huntsville and Scripture Company as adopted and approved by the Huntsville City Council pursuant to resolution number 15-121 brought by administration. Mr. Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, we need to have a motion on the floor first.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by the chair. Discussion, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, members of council, you're certainly familiar with the contract that we've had in place for a number of years with Scripture LLC to provide communication support services to the city. It came up this month for further extension for another year. Through discussions and guidance from the mayor, he has asked the staff to explore taking this position back to a city employee position as it was in prior years. So it takes a little bit of time to pull that paperwork together and some things associated with that to get the position reestablished. And so we are currently going through that process right now. We'll come back to the mayor and present what we think that would look like before it would come to council. In order to give us the time, in order to give us time to accomplish that, what you have before you today is just a 60-day extension of the contract. So it would give us 2 months to pull the paperwork together and things, and then give council time to consider and take action on that proposal prior to the contract expiring. So that's what you have today, is just a 60-day extension of that contract.
This basically gets down to it's a wage and hour issue. The previous city attorney, before the present city attorney who's here, had suggested that we look at it because now there are much heavier penalties on wage and hour violations like that, where you're using somebody under a contract basis, where the government thinks that they ought to be under a wage and hour process. So we're taking advice from council and going to move to an employment type situation.
Dr. Robinson.
It may be too early to ask this because I know y'all are still exploring it, but if it does move to a full-time employee position, then do you have to advertise for the position?
This position would be a full-time employee position, but it would be an appointed position, just as the department heads are. I'm sure that anybody who comes in as mayor will want to put their own communications person in, and this makes them an appointed position.
Great, thank you.
Any further discussion, council members?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Hamilton, I ask that when you do the job description, you consider, you're asking for Brenda Martin's position tonight, and we have a digital media specialist we just approved, and I'd like to see how all those work together, and Kenny Anderson's position. And so please keep that in mind, that I'll be asking questions about that.
Absolutely. This position would have supervisory responsibility over not only some other city employees, but also if we had contracts that provide support services, it would also supervise and manage those contracts as well.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I guess
Mr. Clean.
one flag to raise. As the position is now, that position works primarily for the mayor, but at the same time, that position has been very helpful to council members, Dr. Robinson in her newsletter, me in getting media faxes out concerning town meetings and everything. So I would hope that the job description, in whatever form it comes out, would still keep some accessibility for council members on these things.
It absolutely will, and I think actually the way the language will describe it, you'd actually would see it as an expanded role in those terms, because this would not be the mayor's director of communications; it'll be the city's director of communications, just as other department heads serve the entire city. And so, not only within the communications offices that they're assigned to the mayor's office, we have also other specialists that are coming to some of the departments that have a significant marketing or public messaging role, like the police department and Parks and Rec are the two examples that jump to my mind. And so this position has a role in helping synchronize their efforts and support them in the work that they do down inside the departments.
Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into the third amendment to real estate purchase option agreement between the City of Huntsville, the Industrial Development Board of the City of Huntsville, and Bell Manor Farms, Ltd., previously identified as Sewell Family Limited Partnership, brought by Urban Development. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have questions. Mr. Davis, how long is this amendment for?
It's for a 4-year period.
4-year period. And how long have we had this property under option?
Since 2010.
2010. Is there a way to get a longer commitment than doing, what should we expect? Is 4 years really long, or is that?
Very good question, Councilman Russell. It is. Typically in the past, this is the third amendment, we've only been able to secure, I think the first time we got a 3-year, and then it's been on a 2-year basis. This is our last remaining piece to get the site fully certified as a TVA mega site. and some of those rules changed. It used to have under 12-month option. Now it's went to a 24. So we want to be able to carry that through 2 megasite certification periods. So the landowner agreed to let us have a 4-year period, and the rate of the option is at $25,000 an acre. And I will remind you that's 20% less than the Polaris site. So we've got it at a very good rate, and I think it's something a great investment for the city to be able to, with Polaris coming on board, GE Aviation out there. Naturally, property values are going to rise. So getting it for 4 years at this price is a very good investment for the city.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries.
Thank you, council members.
15M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a special employee agreement between the City of Huntsville and Brenda M. Martin, brought by administration. Motion made by Dr. Showers, second by the chair. Discussion, Mr. Hamilton.
Members of council, this is another one-year extension on a pre-existing contract. Ms. Martin provides, as in a part-time role, provides services in producing her shows as the host on our TV channel, as well as doing some PSA segments that go both not only to television but also on some online platforms where Ms. Scrimshire pushes it out. She brings in members of the community as well as leadership throughout the city and uses it to serve as it's helping spread our message, get information out to the community. And so she has served in that role in hosting and pulling those things together, writing, producing the shows, and getting that information out onto our various platforms.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Hamilton, why is that of value to the city?
And let me step into this. I think that this is one of the things that is of a lot of value to the city. Without coverage, newspaper coverage, without the coverage of media right now, how do we get out the message of what we do, why we do it, what the reasons are, what the strategy is behind it, and what the function of your government is, and that's what this along with Ms. Scrimshire, along with the social media person's job is to make sure that people understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. You always find that in a vacuum, people will naturally assume the worst, and we want to make sure that there's not a vacuum out there, that we do have a proper system of public information so that public understands what we're doing with their tax dollar, why we're doing it with their tax dollar, what our final strategy is, and what it means for us to how we can make sure that they are informed of what we're doing. So this is part of that strategy in doing that.
And Mr. Hamilton, if it's so important, why don't we have a full-time person do it?
Who wants to address that, Mr. Hamilton?
Okay. So as we've looked at the scope and just the amount of work, it does not require a full-time position. I mean, she's typically been working, probably 12 to 20 hours per week, depending on, what may be happening that particular week, and that is sufficient to produce the number of shows and things that we are. It's it's certainly a position that as we move forward, and obviously as we just discussed a few minutes ago, we're looking at a number of things inside that communications function within the city. It's certainly one that absolutely deserves, continual assessment of its value. And as we move forward, as the situation evolves, if there's a better way to achieve these things, then that's certainly something that we would bring to council to accomplish.
And Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Anderson also does a TV show. What's the difference, and why do we need 2 hosts of TV shows?
Well,
I will point out that.
And why do we need 3 hosts of TV shows?
Now we
Mr.
have
Hamilton?
3 hosts of TV shows. Yes.
He's directing that to Mr. Hamilton, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll ask Kelly to come forward and she can talk to a lot more detail, but we certainly would seek to have variety. And so as you have shows that have different themes, different focuses, oftentimes, different people can deliver those in a different way. But Kelly is certainly the professional that can talk to that.
And Mr. Scrimshire, you're a very professional newscaster. Used to watch you many years. You have great experience, did a wonderful job. both with the weather and as an anchor. Why don't you do the show?
As a matter of fact, you may see me on TV in the not too distant
So then
future.
we'll have 4 anchors.
But I hope you have even more than that, because if you remember, and I really want to thank you all for the opportunity, you were the ones that supported the agreement for us to contract with ETV. Several years ago, we were not maximizing our government channel, and now we actually have a television studio where we can produce programming. If you back out sleep period, you've got about 546 hours of programming a month that we have access to our viewers. I mean, granted, we're not cable news and we're not HBO, but we do provide value to our citizens. Right now, with all the folks we have working on it, we're only able to provide about 12 hours of fresh content every month. So you see, we've got room to grow, but we also take all of the programming and we post it to YouTube. And we can take snippets of those programs and we can cross-post them to social media and cross-post them to our new website. So much opportunity here to provide greater transparency and information to our citizens. So we do thank you for your support in this area.
Thank you, Ms. Scrimshire. Any further discussion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I voted against this every year, and I will vote against it again. I just think we have too many people doing this. It's bloat, and I'm just not for it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Ms. Scrimshire. Any further discussion, council members?
Mr. President, as a former newsman who, among other things, used to do live radio broadcasts for public radio in the 70s, I'm going to support this. In fact, I was around when Kelly was actually the news anchor at Channel 48. You know, it's a shame, and I don't want to digress into a different area, but it is a shame looking out here. Outside of the people that are listening to this broadcast on cable TV, I don't see any news reporters here. No TV cameras, nobody from the Huntsville Times, AL.com, and there is something that is missing from that. And as much as this stuff that, you know, reasonably we can provide, I think we should. In fact, I wish we could get a bunch of these former news reporters who have been laid off and see if they would come back and maybe gratis give them an outlet where they could go out, report news stories in the city, whether or not it deals with city government or not, just so that there would be an outlet. I don't know if something like that could be worked out into this, but we do have a studio, but it is a shame that we don't have, you know, the coverage that we need, because there are going to be people that are going to tune on the 10 o'clock news, and they're probably not going to know that there was a city council meeting tonight, and that's a shame. So I would be somewhat leery, but I think the balance is the fact that nobody else is covering it, so we're kind of having to police ourselves, and I think this is the best outlet. So I'm a little bit open to support these types of things now, perhaps more than I was in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Any further discussion, council members? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, with Councilman Mark Russell opposing. 15P is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a special employee agreement between the City of Huntsville and Sonia B. Ashley, brought by Parks and Recreation. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson.
Mr. Chairman, I have questions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Russell.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ivy,
Yes, sir.
tell us why you're doing a special employment agreement with Miss Ashley.
Well, Miss Ashley had been the administrative assistant for 39 years with our department, Councilman Russell. She's handled many hats during this period of time. Our plan is to bring somebody in, but we need somebody with expertise that she has to train them, to get them up. We've got a recreation department going forward, and without her helping us to bring the new person to board and get them going, we feel like this would be a step backwards, and this is what we're trying to do, is just bring the expertise that she had that we can carry our department forward.
So this is a temporary assignment until you find its replacement?
Yes. Well, she will work with our new replacement for a
Okay.
period of time, yes, sir. This is a replacement to help us so we can keep going forward.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
And I might point out, this is one of the fallacies of our hiring system. We can't hire until somebody leaves, and then we can hire somebody to bring them in, but there's no overlap. And in that period with no overlap, you have no training time. So you'll see a couple of them tonight where we're actually bringing people back who have just retired, because they are providing that overlap time so that we can make sure that we train and properly train the new people coming in.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a special employee agreement between the City of Huntsville and Marty R. Calvert, brought by engineering. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I have questions, and I would make
Yes,
a comment.
sir.
I about cried today when I found out Marty Calvert retired.
Yes.
We had a party.
I missed it. I really am shook up by this. Marty Calvert has helped me many times on drainage issues in District 2. We have many drainage issues, and he's an expert at what he does. I've never met anybody that can, you can mention a street address, and he can tell you how the water flows and what drain it goes to and how fast it goes, and off the top of his head, so I'm crushed. He's left us. I'm happy that he's coming back. The mayor explained a little bit about what I wanted to bring out, and I understand your struggles. You have an employee, Marty Calvert. I don't know how many years he's been there, but he's certainly an expert at what he does. And my question is, how do you ever replace him? And can you kind of tell us what you're trying to do to replace someone like that?
Yes, absolutely, sir. He has been there 35 years, and like you said, he is an expert in his field. And so what this contract allows us to do is to keep him for about a year, and in order to hire his replacement, Marty, they will shadow Mr. Calvert and hopefully be able to gain some of that historical drainage knowledge that we value so much.
And I guess the mayor pointed out that's one of the problems with our system is it's hard to hire somebody while the person that they're taking in place is still working for the city.
That's correct, exactly. This allows the transition to occur over a period of a year.
And is that a budget issue, or why can't we fix that? Just you don't know your employees are going to retire? Is that the problem?
Mayor Battle.
If you don't mind, it's the way our employment system is set up. We have authorized that spot to be filled by somebody, and until that somebody leaves and retires, we can't put somebody else in. So, now we're going to get Marty Calvert for under $30,000 a year without having to put the benefits on him. His salary was probably, once you added benefits and everything else, his total cost was about $100,000 a year. We won't have as many hours, but he will be able to do the job and also to train the next person to be able to move into it. That's why you see a lot of these agreements on here, special employment agreements. Just it helps us maintain some professionalism as we move through, and also regain some of that, intricate knowledge that somebody has after 35 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Mayor Battle. Thank you, Ms. Martin. Any further discussion?
Is it
Yes,
worth
Dr.
looking?
Robinson.
Is it worth looking at some changes to the way we're staffing? It would appear that we're a mile wide and an inch deep, and I'm wondering if we need to look at the way we're structuring our staff so that we might train staff, either cross-train or train people to move up, or is that even possible given the structure that we have?
It's very hard even to advertise for somebody before you have that spot open and advertise and go through and then bring them in, and so you always have a lag time. Your department heads would love it if we could figure out a way to do it, and we'll ask Mr. Thomas again to look at it to see if there is a way to bring you something.
And I would certainly share that view so that we don't lose that expertise. And of course, this body, by majority vote, can do whatever is necessary to fix that. Thank you. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15W is a request for authorization to advertise and fill 2 potentially 7 Equipment Operator 1 positions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion.
I believe Ms. Robinson held this just to get an explanation.
I just want
Yes.
because of the way it's worded, and I think it might actually go back to the discussion that we've been having about preparing people to move up. So, and it applies to W, X, and Y. The explanation here, I'm sure, they all kind of reflect each other.
In W and Y, you see the word potential, and the reason you see that, and I realize it is somewhat confusing. The reason you see that is because of timing. Right now, we're coming to you for consideration for 15W, X, and Y, and we have 2 positions for, particularly speaking for like 15W. We have 2 positions to fill. We have a total of 7 positions in that Equipment Operator 1 positions. Total of 7 positions. 2 of them are vacant, 5 of them are occupied. Currently this week, we are doing interviews and testing for those 5 operators, and they are looking to be promoted to an equipment operator too. So it is potentially generating 7 positions to be filled. That's why you see the word potential.
So that applies to Y as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And if I could add, Dr. Robinson, this is an example of a strategy to try and help accelerate that process. If if you give us the approval tonight, what that allows us to do is, whatever number gets vacated between 2 and 7, up to 7, we can then immediately advertise and begin that process, and not wait the weeks to get to another council meeting, things like that. So, though you still would end up with some time with vacancies, it would significantly truncate that just by going through this process now.
Absolutely.
And I applaud you for thinking innovatively in doing this and looking ahead and strategically planning those moves as you go forward. It's good for the employees too.
Absolutely.
Because it gives them an opportunity to be promoted, to hire within, and you're developing people and looking ahead. That's, I guess, when I was asking earlier about these special employment contracts and, do we need to restructure something? We're doing some interesting work here, a different way of hiring, different way of promoting. Maybe it would be worth looking at something in other areas.
It would,
too.
and this really does tie back to the conversation that we were just having. There's a number of things that we're working on in cases where we have sufficient notice that an employee is choosing to leave, whether it's retirement or leaving the city. Then we are beginning the process, but you still have the issue of you can't actually offer the replacement of the job until they have vacated. So you're guaranteed some underlap between the 2 employees. There have been some cases
says potentially.
Right, and there have been some cases where we've come to you and asked to give us an additional authorization, temporarily hire who will be the replacement, and then when the person retires, we delete that other position. But again, that requires a fairly significantly long notice that they're planning on leaving, and then we can get all the paperwork through and all those kind of things. And so we oftentimes have folks that that are fairly late in the process when they actually submit their retirement paperwork, and so it's difficult for the department head to react quickly enough, and HR to react, and then ultimately you to react, because we have to bring it to you and get into that cycle. So, we're working to reduce those times as much as we possibly can, but there's just some cases where it cannot get done in time. So.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15X is request for authorization to advertise and fill 4 public service skilled worker positions.
Move to approve.
Public
Second.
Works. Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. Yes, sir.
It's somewhat of a
I
repeat.
think the questions have been answered. Yeah.
Okay. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15Y is a request for authorization to fill 5, potentially 9, public service worker positions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Any further discussion? That's been satisfied?
Question's been answered.
Thank you. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Dunlap Contracting for construction services for the Big Stream Park East Phase 2.
Move to
roadway
approve.
Services.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson.
Mr.
Discussion.
Chairman, I have questions.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Easter,
Mr.
are you
Russell.
the person, or Mr. Hamilton the best person to answer questions?
Depends on the question, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Question, describe this project. I assume you can answer that one.
Okay, yes, sir. This is a contract for new sidewalks in Big Spring Park East. This contract's for $158,285. This is, as you know, we've got some renovation going on in the park. This is primarily all the concrete work, which includes the sidewalks. The sidewalk, it will have the same appearance as the sidewalk work that we put in last year. And the timing, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but this project is scheduled to be completed prior to Panoply.
Prior to Panoply?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Hamilton, could you describe just the overall plan for the park and what's going on?
Yeah, so when we talk about Big Spring Park, typically you're talking about both sides of Church Street. In this case, we're talking solely about the portion of the park that is to the east. I think everybody's very familiar with the initial kind of almost emergency type work that was done at the far eastern end next to the spring. where we had some underground water that moving that was creating some sinkholes and things. And so we had to come in quickly and fix that end of it. What this does is really kind of a second phase of the overall renovation of the park. So the challenge in the portion that you see that's underway right now is there used to be a road running through that park. It has not always been a park. And when it was converted to a park, they did not come in and remove all of the base material and everything, so there was still a road there, and that's why it's always been very, very challenging to get grass to grow properly. Additionally, that made the drainage not function properly, so anytime we had rain, portions of that park would just basically turn into mud and become unusable. So what you see happening is they removed the sidewalks. A lot of those were kind of torn up by root systems and things like that, and because of the way the drainage functioned. They've brought in sufficient topsoil to allow grass to grow properly and to fix some of the sheet draining that's going on there. Public Works is also installing some underground drainage systems to help control that water and get it off of the park so that it'll be able to function properly. And then what this contract does then is come and just put the sidewalks back again, as Jeff mentioned. It will match the exact same design as the new stuff that's on the far eastern end, and the sidewalks are going back in the same place they were. So that overall appearance of the park will remain the same in terms of the way it's designed. Obviously, it'll be refreshed, and we fully expect the grass lawn that is the primary part of the park that's used by groups will function much, much better now.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15H is a resolution authorizing the Huntsville-Madison County Railroad Authority to obtain a loan from First National Bank of Pulaski, brought by administration. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion? Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, this resolution gives the Railroad Authority the approval to primarily the largest portion of this funding is to refinance some existing debt. So they have a balloon payment coming up, and this is just a good way for them to manage their debt, manage their finances. There's an additional amount in there that they intend to use for basic infrastructure repairs and maintenance on their system. The way they're chartered by the state legislature, they're obligated to come to both the Huntsville City Council as well as the Madison County Commission with a resolution to approve for these types of expenditures and this type of debt. So that's why you have it in front of you tonight. We recommend approval of the resolution to allow them to move forward on refinancing this debt.
And I would like to add to that. We've had numerous conversations with both the Railroad Authority and with our manager down at St. Cobain's, which is their primary customer down there. That is an industry down there. Has probably 100 employees, something like that, and they have not been able to service St. Cobain's over the last couple weeks, month, I guess, because they've got to repair the tracks. As I understand it, this gives them the money to repair the tracks so that they can service St. Cobain's. I'm having lunch with the St. Cobain's manager Monday to kind of walk him through what the course of actions we are doing and to show him that we are providing the funds to be able to do that. And I would be right in telling him that we will have him in operation within 6 months or so, right? Please.
And state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Karen Monroe, and I live at 125 Jacob Landing in Hazel Green, and I am the general manager of the Huntsville-Madison County Railroad Authority. And we have had a lot of we've had a long relationship with St. Cobain, and we've had a lot of discussions with them on the infrastructure problems that we are experiencing on that last 3 miles. And I have last week myself went down and talked with the plant manager there because we have a bridge that has failed a bridge report, and we are in the process of our bridge engineer coming down. We expect him here at the end of the week or the first of the following week to identify the minor repairs or the major repairs that it's going to take to get that bridge back in service.
Thank you.
And would I be right when I tell him that we're estimating about 6 months that he will probably be without service, and
that would be an adequate time frame for us to evaluate the repairs and then to be able to also get in there and make them on this particular bridge.
Okay.
And it is the bridge that goes across the Aldrich Creek Greenway. So we want to make sure that when we find out what it is, that's where the walkway goes under as well.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Hamilton, is there any way that this debt could come back to the city of Huntsville?
No, this resolution does not obligate the city to repay that debt. As with any public entity in the community, if the council wanted to consider assistance to them, then you would have to be considered by council, and that would be separate from the what they currently have in place.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Any further discussion, council members?
And I might say to the council, they've been working long and hard. Ms. Monroe's been working long and hard over the last 3 years. She started off with a big negative number. Now she's moved down to a very much smaller negative number year by year in operation. So I think we're getting to the place where hopefully we can get to a positive area in that. We know fully as a government we do not have an obligation in this debt because we're not held liable in the debt, but there are assets of the corporation that if something did happen to the railroad authority, we would probably want to purchase those assets as a city. So we just need to be going to this cognizant that we're somewhat on we're not in a very huge profitable area here. In fact, probably not in a profitable area, but we're providing a service that is a necessity, and that's what the railroad authority started doing 31 years ago. That's the reason they put it together.
Thank you, Mayor. And Ms. Monroe, just looking at your numbers, it seems like this is a win-win situation.
Yes, sir. We hope it's a win-win.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion, council members? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. We're now at agenda item number 16, legal department items and transactions.
Mr. Chairman, I move for consolidation approval of 16A1 and 16C deeds for acceptance.
Motion has been made, second by the chair. Any discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. We are now at non-roster communications from the public. If anyone wishes to address the council, please go to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Jerry Cox, 4029 Telstar Circle. Thank you, Mr. President. First, as a veteran of the United States Army, I wish to respectfully acknowledge the U.S. Army soldier, the 2 New York Air National Guard airmen, and the 4 members of the United States Air Force, one being a woman, killed as a result of hostile action in Afghanistan in the last 4 weeks. Council, on behalf of the Huntsville chapter of retired federal employees, I wish to publicly thank city personnel, Mr. Madison, Mr. Newberry, and Mr. Van Diver for giving us their morning this past Saturday to update the federal retirees at their meeting on the city's long-range planning. And Mayor, I think it was very clear that this was a very interesting subject for the attendees because it was way by far the greatest number of attendees at a January meeting that we've had in years. Council, recently our neighborhood experienced some flooding at an area where a culvert carries drainage from Redstone under Patton Road through our community to the McDonald Creek. It resulted in about half of Patton Road being closed and properties on the city side being flooded. This has happened before. I believe the culvert is probably properly sized, but it must be blocked. if engineering or public works could get with the Arsenal personnel, I don't know if Mr. Davis is still out there at the Arsenal or not, but get with someone at the Arsenal and look into this. The community would certainly appreciate it. The site is about halfway between the two Telstar Patton intersections. And finally, work has apparently begun at Walmart on Bob Wallace and Jordan Lane. I'd like to know where I can see the traffic study that was done by Walmart for this site. And since I have some time, I want to thank Mr. Tommy Brown and the public transit for the timely and adequate shuttle bus service to the new VA clinic off of Holmes Avenue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. And as always, sir, thank you for the update. And Mr. Davis, could you get with him and address that particular issue, please? Or you want to do it publicly, that's fine too.
Council members, a traffic study was prepared by the developer and Walmart for that subject site, and it is on file both in the engineering department and traffic engineering department, and it is available to the public to view or obtain a copy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anyone else wishes to address the council? Ms. Reed.
Well, I got several issues, and one of them is, why are we changing the streets downtown in Clinton Avenue when we just got it all set up pretty good? Is it all about downtown? They're going to be going every which way in the world, and you're going to confuse everybody but me? I don't think it'll be just me. Seems like it's all about downtown. I think we need to restructure city government. That's been bothering me for a long time. I used to work for government contractors for 25 years. And sometimes how you all handle some of these issues at City Hall just bogs my brains, and I can't sleep at night. Just like a personnel, I didn't know, and I'm going to ask you, and it's on the agenda tonight, an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Inscription Company Consulting Service. Was that up for renewal, or was that just brought forward tonight? I needed to ask some questions about that, because back when this came up, this was Trent Willis's job, and my daughter looked at it, trying to look at it. I didn't know if you advertised it or not, but the salary was $56,000. We got that salary up to $99,900 right now with no health insurance. Okay, that's okay. But now you're putting it into a permanent employee. We're turning that job, consultant job, into a permanent employee where you have to pay health insurance. I mean, I guess I have to thank Mark Russell for all the questions he had tonight about the communications and TV stations. And I know Newhouse out of New York, and I'm going to call him, see if he needs to get down here in the paperwork, because this is going to be a hot year in politics. We need a newspaper sitting in here telling the people what's going on down here. Channel 42 is not whoever's handling that. How many consultants you got handling Channel 42 has yet to put anything about a meeting on there? I brought this up last year many, many times. It's just a socializing channel. When are these meetings held? Downtown Inc., Downtown Redevelopment, Planning Department, MPO. Does anybody don't care about the public? I do, and I care about the salaries that you're stretching out there. One person I know in this city is a director of 3 departments. You don't look at her salary. You don't look at the salary structures of this city. I did 250 engineers' salary when I worked for the aerospace industry. Sometimes you got to use your common sense out here and look at some of this, and look at Channel 42. I don't understand how you come up with some of this stuff, but you all use your common sense. I'm going to try to be professional, real good at what I do. People quit telling me to be good. I said, be good at it. And that's what I'm going to do this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. And you, I believe, had 3 questions. Why are we changing the streets downtown? Secondly, the consulting services on the contract, that's $99,000 that Ms. Scripture is currently working. And how many consulting how many consultants are handling Channel 42, and have we put meetings on the channel? Could you address that, Mr. Hamilton?
I could. First off, the only street right now that is changing that was discussed tonight is Clinton. It's about 3 or 4 blocks worth of Clinton, and it's changing from one-way to two-way for a number of reasons, but primarily because a two-way street is much more pedestrian friendly. And there's as we see more and more folks that are in the downtown area, more pedestrians, it's actually safer for pedestrians on a two-way street versus a one-way street. So it does a better job really accomplishing what we want it to be in terms of being friendly to pedestrians. On the contract, the 6-day extension that you approved tonight, there's no change to the compensation, to the cost of that contract from before. It was level funding and level cost on the next 60 days as compared to this last year. And in terms of the folks that we have working on Channel 42, clearly that position that in the task that we have for Ms. Scrimshaw right now is the management of and supervision of the way in which that programming occurs. The cameraman that many of you are familiar with here from the council meetings, Blake Hudson, does much of the work on actually shooting and producing and putting content onto the television station. And as we discussed tonight, the two primary hosts of shows that we produce are Kenny Anderson in his role with Multicultural Affairs, and then Brenda Martin, the contract that you approved tonight. So those are the primary kind of TV personalities that we use to help get that message out and do it. You're trying to get content on there that's formatted similar to the way people see it on commercial television and things. So that's some of the intent is to try and replicate that. Ms. Reed and I talked actually just a couple weeks ago about doing a better job on the channel of actually doing notices of when public meetings will occur. And actually, on either Wednesday or Thursday this week, Blake added content into when the slides are showing. You should now see, right at the beginning of that run, every time it goes, about every 7 to 8 minutes, it flips over. You should see a slide that lists the next 4 to 5 council meetings, then a slide that lists the next 3 or 4 planning commission meetings, as well as the upcoming Board of Zoning Adjustment meetings. And so we have the ability to go in if there's additional meetings that we want to make absolutely certain that schedule is highlighted. We can add more content, but I made sure that starting this week, those 3, which are probably kind of the most significant ones in terms of making decisions that impact our citizens, those 3 meetings each have their own slide that lists the upcoming meetings in the coming months.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
And I might add to this the difference in the salary that Ms. Reed brought out, $99,000 versus the $56,000 that Mr. Willis made when he was there. Every employee that we have has about a 40% load on them once you put in health insurance, FICA, retirement, and everything else. There's about a 40% cost to them. So a $50,000 employee costs you about $70,000, and that is the cost. If you take 60% of the $99,000 that Ms. Scrimshaw's contract is under, it comes out to $59,400. Mr. Willis would have been easily at that, beyond that rate, with the COLAs that we have put in over the last several years and the step raises that we've had. So the city of Huntsville has gotten more value out of this than we would have had if we'd had somebody working for $65,000 because of the load that you have to add on for the extra benefits that an employee has.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Mr. Davis,
I just wanted to add one quick moment. I know Councilman Russell has brought up the advertisement of the two-way streets on Clinton. Councilman, you may remember 2 years ago we commissioned a study by a traffic consulting firm to evaluate several downtown streets. And that study came back and recommended some streets to go back to two-way. That study was commissioned on the request of our downtown businesses that are downtown that were requesting that. That study reflected some streets will remain one-way, particularly Washington and Jefferson Street, due to the configuration and circulation of the courthouse square. Two, that it greatly recommended to go back to two-way is Clinton and Holmes, and we did not want to change all those at one time and create some confusion, so we are starting with Clinton next Thursday morning, and as the avenue gets further along, it's working well during the construction period to remain one-way, but as the avenue gets close to a CO, we will be converting that section also.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anyone else wishes to address the council? Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. We adjourn.